guys, and welcome back to Let's Talk Short Track Racing, episode 12. Tonight,
12 episodes.
Officially, I mean, we've been double digits for 2 shows now.
That means we've been doing it for, 3 months?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we've got an exciting episode tonight. Later on in the show, we'll have Ricky Brooks, Dodge Carlbert, and we have a third one too, don't we?
Daniel Webster.
Daniel Webster,
Yep.
yes.
We had Daniel on before. He had a lot to say. I was traveling at the time we
right
were
before the Rattler was on.
Yeah, that was good. He did really good there too. So.
Yeah. So
Both Tim and Dodge did. Dodge won it, and then Daniel ended up fourth.
Yeah.
And right now we have this thing where you get on our podcast, you're in the top 5 guaranteed.
Is that the rule? Seems to be, though.
It seems to be. Everybody's either winning or second or third.
Yeah.
Yeah, good show tonight, I think. Last week we come off the open wheel. Had the guys talk about the open wheel stuff. It was pretty cool. So
had a very good tech talk last week.
Yep. Back to asphalt short tracks, which we know mostly.
Yeah.
But so last weekend we had a lot of racing going on, a lot of stuff starting up.
A lot of rain too.
Yeah, I know. Kind of the Northeast, big time. So you got all the stats of what people are doing and who did what.
Yeah. So we'll start off. I guess we'll start with Nashville. They had the JEG CRA series and ARCA and the Southern Super Series, the ASA Southern Super Series. So we'll start ASA, and it was rainy all weekend really. The race was supposed to be Saturday. It rained out until Sunday. No practice Friday or Saturday. So really not much track time for any of these teams.
They did have fun with TikTok though, because I seen a lot of stuff where they were running around. They were wearing life preservers.
Yeah, they're social media guys. He's got a sense of humor. Kept us entertained.
Yeah, that's good.
But the winner of the ASA Southern Super Series race was Cole Butcher.
Yeah, he's been a shitstorm, huh?
Yeah.
Like, man, that kid's been getting it done.
He's having a good season.
Yeah, the other, it's funny because that's obviously a Wilson car. Yeah. He's been around there long, but that car stands out further than the other Wilson cars. That's one thing I've noticed. Like the other ones are, I don't want to say middle of the pack, they're front of the pack, but that Cole Butcher car
they
is...
seem to kind of fade more throughout the race.
Yeah, he has got something going on. And kind of the Wilson deal, like how I understand it, is they got a bunch of different crew chiefs when they race. And then that crew chief goes to that team. So Cole and his crew chief, I don't know who his crew chief is. They got it going on right now. Yeah, they're doing good.
And then also at Nashville, the JEGs, the Pro Late race, the CRA, it was Hunter Wright won that one.
Yeah.
And then they had ARCA there, and Max Reeves won the ARCA race.
Yeah.
And then also the Cars Tour raced this weekend. Lots of rain too there. They were at Ace County Speedway.
Yep.
Or Ace Speedway.
Aces.
And late model stocks, Landon Lewis won.
Yeah, I watched the previews. I didn't get to watch the race at all, but I did watch the previews, and it was it was a little rough.
It was a really rough race.
It was. I don't know if there was something out of balance the whole weekend. It was rough everywhere.
Yeah, I think I'm wondering something to do with they didn't know if they were going to be able to race the full length of the race in everyone's head, which the Pro Lates, they didn't get to race the full length of the race. I think they raced to lap 51, right over halfway.
Yeah.
And it was rain shortened, and they thought that might happen in the late model stocks.
So they were getting after it.
I'm guessing that's why there were so many cautions. And
they always say weather's balance, right?
Yeah, the weather and the moon. You can always bet on those two playing a factor. But yeah, in the Pro Lates, like I said, it was cut short at lap, I think it was like 51, due to rain coming in, and Carson Ware won that.
Yeah.
But I believe he led a majority of the 51 laps.
Yeah.
And then locally, we had Auburndale raced the United Super Late Model Challenge Series. It was twin 50s, and Cody Brinson won the first 50 lapper, and then Cody Stickler won the second. And then in your neck of the woods, they had the ASA Midwest Tour for the Joe Shear Classic.
Yep, kind of their opener up there at Madison.
Yeah.
And the crowd was awesome. I mean, and that one does good all the time. Joe Shear, Mark Martin came up there. That was kind of big for the track. So he was, presented up there. And fans-wise, that was always been a good race. But literally, it was a full house. So great race. But they're getting a little rough. I don't know, like we were talking about it just as racers through the week, like what's going on, like the pressure's on or what it is. And, it ain't like when they're tearing stuff up. And then these things, when you're tearing these things up, it ain't cheap anymore.
No,
so
it's not cheap, and it takes a while to get them repaired.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. And
but
a lot of engine blowing, engines, that Southern Parts motor. So just being technical on the race side, I don't much care for that motor. I already went through that in my career.
Yeah.
On the Southern Parts motor is a 9-to-1 back in the day, and them things blew up. Everything's lightweight, and that's what it is. But yeah, it bummed me out because I think last couple of years here in the school experience, Ricky Brooks on, which we could talk a little bit about that on the engine stuff, because we had that spec motor. That's a great engine. That thing held, and now we're back to what we did 20 years ago. So
the specs are a little bit more affordable, I believe, too, right?
Well, the specs are way more affordable than a Southern Parts. Southern Parts is someone's dream, and I don't know. I'm not impressed at all.
But yeah, up at Madison, Casey Johnson was the winner of.
Yeah, Casey, and he kind of sat out last couple of years. He's been going through some stuff. He's a friend of mine. Casey's been going through some stuff with balance. He had I don't even know how it is, but it's more like on the side where carbon monoxide, and then it gets into your blood. And I've learned this because I went through the same thing in my racing career. All the years I've raced, supers, and you don't think about it, but you're breathing that carbon monoxide, whether you're sitting in the pits, and like Dodge is sitting next to me, we can't see him, but you know exactly what I mean, right? You're sitting there in the pits, you're breathing someone else's carbon monoxide, you're on the track breathing carbon monoxide. The only thing on the track, the air is moving. In the pits and under caution is probably the two most damaging. But once you carry carbon monoxide in your system, and a doctor told me this, it's not like you get rid of it. Mm-hmm. It carries with you. It's like a REM, of how much can the blood take. So the next time you race and you get more, it keeps adding up. So Casey, I know, might have been dealing with a little bit of that. I just know from experience what I went through. But man, you just get super lightheaded, dizzy really easy, and in racing, it's just after a while you're putting a toll on yourself. Yeah. Casey's a hell of a little racer. He gets it done, and it just came out strong. And it's his own personal car. It's their own stuff, and they're doing their own thing. I love that. I love that. It's not a huge manufactured car. They run a Reed chassis, and there's just a small little chassis group up there, and. Yeah, and he was strong. Right on the outside, just drove right around the outside of him and walked away.
Wow.
So cool stuff. But yeah, great race for up in Wisconsin. But that's always we always say the start. So. But yeah, anything else? What else do we have?
Y'all are headed out of town.
Yeah, we're headed out tonight. We leave after tonight. We're heading for New Hampshire Star Speedway. We're going to race we'll practice on Saturday. We race the 150 on Sunday with Kendrick, and Nick's going to wait till Wilkesboro, so we're going to go up there we're actually going up there with Nick's car. I told Kendrick, don't tear that thing up. We got to bring it back good. We got to run right from there to Wilkesboro, so we'll have the Wilkesboro car with us. Looking forward to that, but yeah, exciting. So
yeah, I know, a big few weeks of racing, and busy few weeks, especially in the shop here, so. Yeah,
we're just about done with the final car, Nick's pro car. That'll be getting that one wrapped up, and then we'll finally get that one.
Have all of them rolling.
Thank goodness. Exciting. It's been a long winter.
Yeah.
Busy winter, but
very.
I guess from the studio here, I guess we got to go into our sponsors, commercials, and we'll be right back after these messages, and we'll have Dodge guests on. Yeah, it'll be awesome.
Buying or selling a home? It's more than a transaction. It's a strategy. I'm Amy Lynn, and I bring clarity, confidence, and results to your real estate journey. Whether you're searching for the perfect place to call home or preparing to list your home for top dollar, I've got you covered. With smart marketing, strong negotiation, and a network you can trust, I don't just help clients close, I help them win. Let's make your next move the right one.
All right, and welcome back to Let's Talk Short Track Racing. We are here with Dodge Carlbert. I'll get it right one time.
Yeah.
We'll just say Dodge. Everybody knows Dodge. So we got Hellcat sitting next to us.
Chevy, Ford, anything but Ford really works for me. So
Easy, I'm a Ford man. Well, I'll let you know after Wilkesboro. We're taking a Ford.
See how that goes.
Ford's been good at home. We'll see what it does down here. So Dodge, you've been racing a while?
Yeah. Race-wise, I think I started when I was 9. I was a late bloomer into it. You know, a lot of kids start at like 6 now.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, 9.
What did you originally get your start in?
Go-karts at East Bay when they had a go-kart track. They tore it down, which sucked. That was like my favorite track growing up.
Yeah.
You know, throw goat pee on the tires and run. But you know, they got rid of that track. But yeah, go-karts until I was, I think, 10, and then I got into a mini stock. So at 10 years old, I was driving a Dodge Neon. So,
dirt then?
Asphalt.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. You went from the dirt track on the go-kart to the
well, that was when they had Kids Fast 4. So they had a kids class down here that I wish they did more of. But I guess Legends and Bandoleros kind of took that over. But yeah, they used to have a kids class for mini stocks, and that was sick, you know. So I went into that for a few years before street stocks, and then now everything that anybody lets me drive. So
yeah, Dodge Neon. I never see Neons anymore.
No.
Remember you see them on the road all the time? Like there was a million of them things.
And now when you see one, it has like a 10-foot wing on it.
and a fart can burning across.
Exactly.
So now you're racing sportsman cars for UARA?
Yeah, that's our main focus is the sportsman. Our second focus right now is sprint cars. You know, trying to
doing some open wheel stuff.
Yeah, I love it. I kind of dabbled a little bit, I guess, with the Tulsa Shootout, and now I'm into asphalt sprint cars. So just kind of dabbling in the open wheel stuff. I've always had an open wheel modified. I guess that counts.
Yeah.
Just not as fast.
Both dirt and asphalt.
Yes.
Hitting both ends of the sticks. That's pretty cool. You're originally from Florida then?
Yeah. Palmetto, Florida.
Yep.
Was born over there at the Memorial Hospital, Manatee.
Yep. And then where do you live now?
In Palmetto still.
Yep.
Same area.
Yep.
Neighbors with Nick and them, so always golfing and stuff over there. Always finding something to do.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I know it's funny, since I've been down here in Florida, then it's like I see it almost every track. Your presence everywhere. We went to the Rattler. You ended up winning at the Rattler, and the sportsman car was running good.
Yeah, I love that track.
Yeah. It's
one of my favorites on the asphalt side of things. I think it's just a very smooth track, very fun, 2 lanes most of the time. And with the sportsman cars, I mean, you're not lifting a lot.
No.
You know, qualifying, I think 1 and 2, you lift a little bit. 3 and 4, you're burping it. You know, so it's a lot of speed. And yeah, I really wanted that one. Didn't want to hold the rattlesnake or anything, but definitely wanted to win.
I don't think anybody's real impressed about the rattlesnake.
No.
Everyone kind of turns their head.
Yeah.
No, the guy. I remember he was like, you ready? I'm like, because he was trying to get me to smile. I'm like, I'm not smiling with this thing around my neck.
Sad part is you win a race and you're so excited you get bit in the neck by a rattlesnake. Something about that. But so the sportsman class. Now you said you're doing more of the series, just kind of focused on the series with the sportsman cars. Because the sportsman class is kind of like, I remember kind of the beginning stages of that class, even here in Florida, because it kind of, where I'm from in Wisconsin, it kind of petered off up there too, where it started here and then boom, it started up there with Wayne from Left Hander, kind of got it going up there, and it's a strong series up there. I mean, it's growing quick. Down here, do you know how many cars you guys got in sports? I mean, you've got quite a few.
I think last year there was, and Ricky could probably confirm this, I know it was over 50 cars entered at least one race.
Wow.
So there's a lot down here in Florida. Whether they all race one weekend or not is, you know, obviously we had 30 something at Arbondale, you know, and I know the first time we went to Freedom Factory, we had 50 something cars, and they had to run a B main and qualify the top 15. So There's a lot down here. I do wish we could travel a little bit more with the northern people, but like we talked about earlier before the show, it's like they run coilovers and different packages. And
I remember, if I want to say, they had a 40-pound weight break up there if you ran a stock stub style big spring. You guys got, the big gearboxes in them, where we're running just like an old late model or whatever they got with a 602. But I think there's probably an easy way to get them to marry.
For sure.
It'd be cool to have like a national race with them somewhere in the middle of the country, like a one-time deal.
Yeah, go to like, either North Carolina or, even more central if you wanted to. There's a bunch
or even a big winter race.
Yeah. Bring them all down to Pensacola or something, I know Ricky is always working on getting tracks, but I would, love Pensacola with the Sportsmans. I think our Sportsmans over there would be really, really fun. I think it'd be a little bit more racy than some of these smaller tracks. So I'd love to see it.
Even the Rattler, even over there at
it's super
South Alabama.
Super racy with our cars, and besides, for whatever reason, our class is getting a little rougher recently. I think everybody.
It's funny, you guys were on a long run there. I was watching that race.
Yes.
You guys were on a run there for a while, and then all of a sudden one guy starts wreck, and then all of a sudden.
I was about to say, what's that? Who? One of the NASCAR guys says that yellows bring yellows, cautions bring cautions. So it sucked. I wanted to see that thing just go green. I was riding, I got up front when, my teammate Palmer, he burned up his tires, and I wanted to see it just go green. I was content, drinking my water,
because then you get nervous on a restart, for sure.
And that's a big enough track to where it's like 50-50 on some people shift, some don't. And I don't shift most of the time in that car. It's not worth, the little jump you get as long as you time it right.
And,
so
I feel like that class like that, there should be a no-shift rule. Like roll them into 3, coming out of 4. Because some of that shifting stuff, I say that's big up by us. We don't allow the shifting up there, and mostly everything, I'll be honest with you. Even the supers, they don't really allow it. It's roll into 3, carry all your speed through the center, coming off of 4, keeps it spread out, and you have less problems, because there's always the time the guy misses a shift. Takes out 3 cars.
Seems to be a big issue right now with late models too. I mean, I feel like every other race I see a leader missing a shift or something going on. I never had a shift until I went to New Smyrna, and actually I think Daniel, he'll be on later. The first time I ever had a shift was an accident. It was in my modified. And I was getting decent restarts in second gear or high gear, and I was in low gear under yellow, and they were like, "Oh, we're going green out of 4."
And you're like.
And I went and I hit the chip about halfway down the straightaway, and then shifted. I was like, "Oh, I figured it out." Came on the radio, and I was like, "Oh, there we go." And then after that,
everybody's passed me. Now I'm.
No, actually, I got a better start that time than the one before, so I felt like it worked.
It worked that time, right?
Yeah, it worked out. So.
Yeah. But later in my career, it was the same way. When you started shifting, but I didn't care for it in short track racing. I feel like shifting. Leave that for NASCAR. I really do. I feel this drag stripping. I know they had a Sportsman that. What is it called? The bash that they always have, the New Year's bash for the Sportsman heavy sport, metal body Sportsman cars. I went down there and helped a buddy of mine, Dave, and they were shifted. I'm like, these cars ain't even designed to shift.
No.
I mean, these cars don't have shifting transmissions. Half the guys will wreck it, and that's where I said this. Some of the stuff doesn't need to be in racing.
No, I agree. I think Ricky has the rolling start deal for a reason. Pick up your speed, fire at the cone. The only thing I don't like is I feel like at certain tracks the leader doesn't get the advantage he deserves. I've always liked the box. In my opinion, I don't like the slow starts, but I've always liked fire in the box. Leader controls it just for the fact that it gives the leader advantage. I won't lie, because I've been on the better end of it. The outside guy gets a good run and can pinch you down into 1 just because he was able to fire at the same time you are, because we all are firing at the same spot.
Right.
So, and sometimes Ricky's pretty good about catching it. Like he got on to me about it at Arbondale when me and Zach were side by side. But I do wish the leader had a little bit more of an advantage. I mean, let's go to Delaware restarts or something, leader alone out front.
We do that up in the Big 8. I hate that too, because then that guy.
I love it.
Then you're holding the guy
when I'm
back.
leading.
Yeah,
when I'm leading, I love it.
When you're a leader, you love it. When you're
when you're second, you hate it.
I always looked at it like fan base too. I was a promoter. Fan wise, it's you want to build something for the fans. I mean, we talked single file restarts too. Short track racing years ago was single file restarts. It started double, went to single file. We wreck a lot of less stuff in a single file restart.
Yeah.
But no, that. And there again, there's the leader. When it's a single file restart, then the leader's by himself and no one's.
It's a good advantage, and I don't mind the single file restarts. It's worked in my advantage a handful of times. I can't complain about it. So, I think with certain classes, we could definitely do more single file stuff. Like for right now, until some of the people in the sportsman class figure out what they're doing, I think maybe we need to go to more single file restarts. And even with the supers, I mean, sometimes super races I feel like drag out forever because people are just spinning out in the back on restarts, wrecking each other for 14th. So
that's mostly the problem.
And every time you bunch them back up, another caution because
I can get one more spot, $50 more. So it's just how it goes. It's racing. People like to race hard. I get it.
But it's not worth it.
No, it's not. Never. I remember I got wrecked one time for I think 5th, and I was like, did you want the $50 that bad? Like if you really wanted it, we could have paid you for it. So
the open wheel versus asphalt, what do you what you do, like the open wheel stuff, do you love that? Is that something you really?
The sprint car was big for me. I liked it. I really liked it. And then going to dirt, this year we're running the Chili Bowl, so it'll be my first time running a midget. The car's almost done. Hopefully I can test it before we go. But no, I love the open wheel stuff. I actually prefer the open wheel stuff. And sportsmans are fun too, but I like the dirty side of things more.
There's options in dirt.
Yeah, a lot more options.
In the driving. So, boy, we're getting short time here, but that was one question I had for you, because like I always say, a lot of times with asphalt, dirt, guys will come from dirt to asphalt or vice versa, but a lot of times the dirt world, all I ever hear from my buddies that went dirt racing is, man, way more options. If the car's a little off, then you're just moving on the track and finding speed, and that's what makes a racer.
Yeah, here, let me piss every dirt racer off. Dirt is easier than asphalt. I'll be the first to say it. You can make a huge mistake in 1 and 2, make it all up in 3 and 4. You can move around on the track at most tracks. You can, your car setup can completely off, but if you got a set on you, you can throw it out there and make it up. Asphalt, you miss 1 and 2 one time, you're getting drove by 6, 7 people at Arbondale or certain tracks.
The side-by-side finesse racing in asphalt it's like you can mess up in 1 and 2 and it almost costs you your whole race.
And it can, and it has, it's costed a lot of people races that way. So dirt is easier than asphalt. Hate me. I don't care. I'll say it. Truth is spoken.
Well, hey, Dodge, it was great having you on here. I'm sure we'll have you. I mean, you're a neighbor here, so I'm sure we'll have you on again. Our segment here is up, and this part of the segment, we're going to have Ricky Brooks on next, but it's cool catching up with Dodge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I'm on. Yeah.
We're going to keep him on.
Yeah,
right?
I'll hang out for a little. Yeah. I like Ricky.
Yeah, we'll talk to Ricky. Get say things with Ricky. So after these messages, I guess we'll have Ricky, Dodge, and then later we have Daniel.
Yeah.
So you're going to be on right with Ricky too, right?
Yeah, we'll try to keep them all on.
There we go. Cool. Perfect. So after these messages, I guess we're going to have a.
Bring Ricky in.
We'll bring Ricky in and have a whole slew of. We'll start some shit. So after these messages.
Buying or selling a home? It's more than a transaction, it's a strategy. I'm Amy Lynn, and I bring clarity, confidence, and results to your real estate journey. Whether you're searching for the perfect place to call home or preparing to list your home for top dollar, I've got you covered. With smart marketing, strong negotiation, and a network you can trust, I don't just help clients close, I help them win. Let's make your next move the right one.
Okay.
All right, welcome back to the Let's Talk Short Track Racing podcast. We have Ricky Brooks on the phone here with us, and we still have Dodge.
Talking about some Florida racing, I guess. Huh?
Yeah.
Ricky, you got us? You can hear us?
Yeah, I got you.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, we enjoy having you. Like I said, I always feel like when we're talking racing in the South or Florida, it's your name is always the one brought up. And me coming from the North, you're well respected even up there. A lot of us come down and we enjoy racing. A lot of stuff you put together. So a lot of the questions we were going to talk a little bit about. What's Ricky got going on? What's Ricky doing for the future? Some of the new races on the schedule we want to talk about. So the first thing I wanted to say is, so the UARA is kind of like, that's your baby. And the biggest thing I always say is, like, I've always known you as a tour tech guy, on top of, like, when two big tour races, you're kind of always you're kind of the go-to man. And that's the part I always remembered you as years ago, and back when I was helping Campy and stuff. And I've always had highly respect for what you do. And so my question is where is URA? Like, you got future plans, and I know we got new races coming this season. We'll talk about them a little bit, but where's the future for URA in this, where we are with racing?
It's going to keep moving forward. We're committed to it. We've had some minor setbacks. We've had some progression, so it's not going anywhere. I can promise you that. We'll work too hard to get where we're at, and we're just going to keep moving forward. Got some new opportunities. It'll be series races, and then it may just be officiating staff at certain events, and maybe tech support at other places. So who knows,
Yeah, no, I'm excited. You're going up there by my buddy Travis and Slinger. It's you're coming up there to help out there, and that's big, because I feel like if that event alone in Wisconsin, I'll be honest, there's 3 big pinnacle races up there. One of them, the Slinger Nationals. The other one is the Dixieland 250 over in WARA Speedway. And then I would say the Oktoberfest 200. Them are 3 pinnacle races. You did tech one time at the 200 at La Crosse. That's a long, you understand it because you've been there. That's a long week.
It's a long week, but it's a fun week.
Yeah.
Everybody there had a good time. I enjoyed going to La Crosse.
Yeah.
Have no regrets for doing that event, and I'm excited to Slinger.
Yeah.
We're actually going to do the Nationals with their people, and Tracy actually not this weekend, but next weekend.
Yeah. No, that'd be cool. The one thing when you go to Slinger, Ricky,
Seen the place except on TV.
Yeah. So the one thing cool there, I'm going to warn you right now, so that it's one of the only tracks the whole entire city of Slinger is involved. There ain't no one at home in that city. The whole city's involved. It's just the coolest thing ever in short track racing, where you show up, you drive through town, and it's about the Slinger Nationals. It's just a long going event. Like I said, the super lates get around there in 11 seconds. The race goes fast. It's intense and just actually awesome. I'm glad you're going there, and it's cool because Travis. So me and Travis, we've been friends for a long time, and him and Kelsey. Kelsey actually drove one of my cars years ago. His wife. And when I heard they were purchasing the track, I'm like, what a perfect. They're a race couple, right? They've been successful in business. They bought this track. Like, I look at the future, because I always get nervous about the future. Me and you talked about this, Ricky, in this sport, and we take these younger, families like that, because Travis is not even 40 years old yet. He's 38 years old, and they made a jump to pull a trigger on this. So that'll be big for up there. But yeah, I always say
they're going to do well. They're going to do well because they're a racer at heart, and they're going to take care of the racer, the fans, and then they know how to run a business.
Yeah.
So they're going to do well.
Yeah, and Wisconsin has done well in racing. It has in the last even 5 years. through pandemic, it was huge. I mean, even the struggle, you see the rest of the country struggle a little bit. They always they always seem to walk through. We got a great like pro late model class up there with that 8-inch tire deal. I was saying we got 500 of them cars racing up there. That's your weekly late model. And a lot of them guys, they'll have a super, and then when a tour comes in, they'll pull their super out and that sort of thing. So that, one thing was Wisconsin, it does have that. We have a lot of asphalt tracks. I mean, we have 14 asphalt racetracks up in Wisconsin. So and they race every weekend. I have four tracks on Friday night, five tracks on Saturday night, 1 track on Sunday, and 2 tracks on Thursday. It's still pretty big, but yeah. The other question I had too is, so the super late model, the pro late model down here, now I know you don't mess with a lot of the pro late model stuff. You're more of the super. Is the pro late model, the pro late model stuff, is that something that you're looking forward to with that class?
We do a few races with the pros, but yes, we're going to do more. Personally, I think the pro late model needs to be reeled back in a little bit and have a separation between the pro and the super and make them a little bit more economical to run. I think that's why the Sportsman class is so good, is where it's at. We're already pushing 28 entries for Freedom Factory on the 24th,
That Sportsman class you guys got down here, we got Dodge sitting here with us. I think that's a great series, and I don't even want to call it entry level.
No.
Entry level financially, I feel like you guys got a great rule package. I looked at that rule package.
You've got several veterans that were in the super late models that have gone to just primarily because of the cost of it.
Yeah.
And it's a good class where you don't have to have 10 people or 8 people. Like, you don't have to have a whole team. You can have just a few people show up at the track and be competitive. Dad, mom, and the kid racing, right? Yeah.
Dodge, you was just talking about it here, right? That's a great class. That's a class that the more you do it, because that's what you need right now in racing. Because everybody's like, man, these kids, they just jump in a super or jump in a pro, and where was the class to get them there? And one day,
correct.
One day we can. And I don't know, this is like a careful thing. I always said this, just being an old promoter, is you take the Sportsman class and all of a sudden you start having a 10,000 win race. I always felt, does that ruin the class? Because you have a 10,000 win race. Now you're starting to bring bigger dogs in.
I would like a 10,000 win race personally.
Then all of a sudden Wilson's building a car. And
hey, bring it on, I guess. I don't think it would hurt it. I don't know what Ricky's thoughts are on that, but I don't think it would hurt it if it's like a once in a while thing. I don't think it could be.
If it was a special event, that may be okay. But you still got to look at that guy that's running dead last.
Yes,
because he's got to be able to make it back to the racetrack week in and week out and get his car fixed. And racing in general, I think racing is pretty strong as a whole. But I think Craig Crazone hit the nail on the head right after our Auburndale race. The biggest thing that the Sportsman class is lacking right now, and it's other classes too, it's not just the Sportsman's, is respect. Respect for each other when they put the helmets on. That's the biggest thing I think it's lacking right now, and that's my focus moving forward is make them respect each other, because it's like Dodge said earlier, they're going to knock a $400 nose piece off the car to get $50 more.
Yeah.
Well, that mentality's got to stop. They need to roll them back in the trailer and forget that $50, even if it is $50. We got a pretty good purse we're running for, but they're going to go spend every dime of that plus more over stupidity. And we just got to start respecting each other. And the other night at Auburndale, I had Charlie Brown put in some money, and the series put in some money so we could start all the cars, and then the Speedway put in, it helped out.
That's awesome.
So we started all the cars, and that's the first thing everybody said, well, we started too many cars. No, because all the wrecks were happening up front. It wasn't in the back. The guys in the back wasn't crashing their cars.
They were just happy to be in show.
Yeah.
They're just happy to be in the show and not run a B main and go home.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I also think if there was sponsors that step forward to try and put on a 10K to win race, I'd rather see the top purse go up a little bit, obviously, right? Like from 25 to maybe
Yes.
4, whatever. But I'd rather see it get spread out to where it's 800 to start the race, or something like that versus 10K to win and then still 500 to start. I'd rather see it spread out through the field. As a racer, that's a budget racer. I'd love to see that.
When you do them big races like that,
I do.
But what I need the racers to understand is when we put on shows like we put on at Auburndale, I could have a sponsor there, and that could drive that sponsor away from it, and then just close that door and never open back up. But like I said, we got to get respect back between the drivers. I mean, there's going to be some rubbing, but it don't have to be what it was at Auburndale. And you can't blame the racetrack because they just had a late model show there last weekend and had really good racing.
I agree. I also think, as a person that is on probation, I think it was a good idea to go ahead and do that. Honestly, I do. I'm a big supporter of that. I think, you got to start holding the drivers accountable at some point. And, you can't sit here and blame the series or blame the track. At the end of the day, they're not holding the steering wheel for you.
Well, that's, everybody's got to point the finger at something.
Yeah,
you're talking about
sure.
respect. It's not just in racing. It's just whole in life.
Yeah.
You can't even go down the road without getting flipped off anymore just because you did something wrong. It's just a tougher era.
No one has any patience left.
No, it is.
No,
It's
not at all.
Just,
hopefully Freedom Factory is better. I really do think it will be. I know the last race at Freedom Factory is a little rough, around the edges, even for me that I made, mistakes throughout that race. So hopefully we go to Freedom Factory and it's just a lot cleaner for Ricky, for us. And I hate seeing torn up race cars. I hate seeing all that, especially for people that just get caught up in other people's messes, other people's bullshit. So am I allowed to cuss?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're okay.
No filters.
So
you can cuss. It's all right. We got Ricky Brooks on.
Yeah, and I'm always,
you just can't cuss and say the F word in victory lane.
Yeah, no, yeah.
'Cause that doesn't look good on a live broadcast. And, and like I said, when you got sponsors, I got sponsors, and we got children watching the broadcast or in the grandstands. We don't need that. I mean, we can have discussions, but it can't be there.
100%. And I don't think you should be able to, you don't want to curse at the racetrack in your interview, and it's just not a good look for the series too. When a driver is doing something like that. But
it's just more professional when you act professional.
Yeah. I was getting booed, and I thought it was great. So.
Well, hey, we got to jump to a commercial here. We're going to have Ricky back on. We're going to have Daniel Webster jump on with us. Yeah. So we'll have Dodge,
Ricky, and Daniel.
Awesome.
Yes.
So after these messages, we'll be right back.
Buying or selling a home? It's more than a transaction, it's a strategy. I'm Amy Lynn, and I bring clarity, confidence, and results to your real estate journey. Whether you're searching for the perfect place to call home or preparing to list your home for top dollar, I've got you covered. With smart marketing, strong negotiation, and a network you can trust, I don't just help clients close, I help them win. Let's make your next move the right one.
All right.
All right, and welcome back to Let's Talk Short Track Racing. We have Ricky Brooks, Dodge Carlbert, and Daniel Webster on with us now. Welcome, Daniel.
Hey, guys.
Daniel, you're back.
Yes, sir. I can't see you guys this time. I'm audio only this time, though.
Yeah, we got you off we took you off the
Video.
the video. Hey, I got to say hi to you a little bit there at Radler, but you did a good job. You guys had that crate motor car there, ended up fourth. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a long weekend. I was actually the other 33 though. I passed him like 5 different times. He finished ahead of me. I broke a rack with like 10 to go. But me and Justin Smith, literally, I don't know how many times we passed each other, but it had to be confusing for the spotters. Because we're both black 33s with yellow and blue trim.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, no, that was not me. I was ahead of him most of the race, but he finished fourth.
Well, awesome. Well, thanks for coming on. Yeah, we got Ricky here. We're actually just talking short track. You know, some of the stuff you got going on, Daniel, this year. Now you're mostly just do the super stuff right now, huh?
Actually, a little bit of everything. So I just literally about 5 minutes ago fired a new motor in my super. I think I broke a ring or something during the Rattler. It started pushing oil out of the overflow pretty bad. So just finished firing it for the first time. Next weekend I'm going to go to New Smyrna with my Pro. We do have a Pro up and running now. We finally got saved up to replace the one that got killed at Wilkesboro last year. So I'm going to do the Twin 50s at New Smyrna next week with my Fury Pro, and then Freedom Factory with the Super on the 24th. And maybe the Sportsman, or I might have a surprise driver lined up for it that would raise some eyebrows if I can work that out.
Get all kinds of cars.
Can I say who it is?
Got a super guy?
Sneak peek?
Yeah, you got. I'm curious now.
I gotta fix it first. It's all tore up from the last race, but let's keep it under wraps for a little bit longer to make sure it's 100% going to happen. But you guys will be entertained by it. I think he's not bad around there.
Yeah, that was a cool donut you did in the first race.
We got to bring in. The Dodge beat me last year, so I got to bring in a ringer to step up the old Sportsman car.
Little competition.
He's on probation. We just heard.
He has to be on his best behavior.
Well, so's half the field.
Yeah, right. After last weekend, right, Ricky?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's cool having all you guys on here. So the biggest thing for you then next is just so you'll be down there at the Freedom Factory. That race there,
Yes.
Ricky, the Freedom race is that thing's been built pretty good height. I mean, for the last couple of years, actually, the Freedom Factory. I mean, with right now where Cletus is and that whole NASCAR level, NASCAR needs him. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
They need that. He's outside the box marketing is what he is, and we need a little bit that.
I mean,
racing.
every interview he has is just entertaining.
Oh,
I
it is.
mean, every interview he's on, it's great.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
You got to start doing that.
I'm impressed
Yeah.
with his ability to flip the character on. Because, like, I only got to speak to him briefly pre-race at the Bigley last year, I think it was. And, like, there's a massive difference between Garrett and Cletus.
Yes,
Like, he's
yeah,
a very
100%.
serious, calculated dude. But when he flips the character on, it is all the way on.
Dega.
Yeah.
Take it. Like a bald eagle.
Ricky, your relationship with him that's pretty solid, huh? That's something you worked together with him on from the beginning.
To be honest with you, I've only spoke to the guy about 3 or 4 times. I mainly deal with Josh and Alan down there, and
Yeah.
now Ryan since he's down there full time. So I deal with those people, and if he's there, we speak. But I pretty much dealt with them from day one, But we have a solid relationship with those guys down there. We
Yeah.
work well together. They do a great job, and they like what we do. So last year we signed a multi-year deal with them for the Bigley. So
That's awesome. That's good stuff. I think in Florida right now, that's the race.
Yeah.
I mean,
obviously you've got the Derby, but I, in my opinion, it competes right there, even with how newer it is.
The Derby to me
And
is
I don't
Alabama.
consider the Derby's not in Florida to
That's
me.
Alabama.
Yeah, that's
track.
me neither. I'm from
Alabama.
Wisconsin. I
It's a
say
whole
that
other
too.
time zone.
Yeah, that's a time zone, and it's
Yeah.
so close to Alabama. They didn't even spit to Alabama.
Yeah, Florida tracks exist from Lake City south.
I agree with
Yeah,
that.
100%.
It's cold at the Snowball Derby.
It snowed.
They had 8 inches of snow last year
Yeah.
during the winter.
Crazy.
Jesus.
You come down from Wisconsin to Florida. It's like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
I just left this. But yeah, no, it's that Freedom Factory deal. So wasn't Josh a part of that track at one time?
Josh.
The Josh, the guy that helps.
I don't think
Not
so.
to my knowledge, no.
Sapricone owned it before.
Yeah, I knew Sapricone owned
Yeah.
it way back in the day.
That wasn't way back. I think that's who he bought it from, if I'm not,
Oh, okay,
if
yeah,
I'm
it
not
could've
wrong.
been.
Yeah,
I want to say Cletus.
Sapricone still owned it. He
Yeah.
leased it to a couple different people here and there, but Sapricone still owned it
Yeah.
all the way up until Cletus purchased
Okay,
it.
yeah.
Yep. I was going to say, Sapricone, I mean, he would not let go of that track. He was leasing it for a long time. So
Yeah.
I think that was the longest lasting owner of that track, other than the original one.
My first trip down.
I mean, the
there,
mentality, the general consensus when we go there is we're going to leave the property the way we found it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and we're going to act a certain way. And if we don't, then we jeopardize our chance. And it should be that mentality at every facility that we go to, that we leave it the way we found it and we don't trash the place. But I mean, there especially, because they don't need us.
yeah,
We need them.
yeah.
And that's what everybody needs to understand. And it goes back to that word we used earlier, respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about respect, no matter if it's a facility or on the racetrack or what.
All they need is a Crown Vic and a Ford Ranger.
Yeah, no, they're good.
Exactly.
Which I think we've been pretty good about Freedom Factory, everybody keeping their temper. Obviously, you got, I love you, Big Will, I'm sorry, throwing a trash can at somebody. Other than that, I feel like, been pretty decent there. Sorry, Big Will, you deserve
No,
it.
it has been. I mean, they've been happy with everything we've done. I mean, of any year, we want the big league to be out of sight because it's the 10th anniversary and working on that,
Yeah.
Invited last year, and that was a great ad. Can add one more class for this year, but we'll see.
Is it Crown Vics?
No, they're already on.
They're
No,
Rangers.
no, I'm trying to add the pro trucks is what I'm trying to add
Yeah.
for this year.
They've been doing really good at almost every track with car count. I mean, even New Smyrna, that in my opinion doesn't pay anywhere near enough to run those trucks. They pull 15, 20 cars every race. So I think that's a great idea. I love the pro trucks.
I always say that when Ricky, when you're just saying racing as a whole isn't pretty good. That's one thing I always say, being an older gentleman. I always said that we just have it in so many different classes now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now in the pits, when back in the day, our moms and our sisters, they were all up in the grandstands. Nowadays, they're all in the pits.
Yeah.
So it's a whole different level. We got little Jimmy running a Bandolero and Johnny's running a Legend car, and I mean, there's
You don't got to tell me about it. I
the
got,
whole family's
plenty
down
of
in the
them.
pits. And
Plenty of them.
now who do you got up in the grandstands? You ain't got nobody up there, but I suppose that's why pit passes are.
Yeah, Dodge is a good example of that. I mean, they got kids in all kind of divisions, you know,
Yeah.
and they drag them up and down to Nashville and everywhere else to run the Bandoleros and stuff.
Yeah.
No, I definitely think we need to work on getting a Bandolero race on the old Little track at DeSoto, or a Legend race at the Little track. I mean, we used to do it when I was little. They ran mini stocks and stuff. I think that would be cool to see the kids and get some exposure with the kids there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because they're our future of racing at the end of the day. Bryson and all those
that's our next
kids
racers.
and the Legends and Bandos and that's what we got. And grateful that it's as big as it is now than what it was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I felt like 5 years ago it wasn't this big, but now you've got Brexton Bush really pushes the Bandolero stuff and the Legend stuff, and that's made it huge for these kids.
That racing locally needs to happen way off. So when I had the Dells racetrack, I brought the Legends in, and they only wanted them 4 times. I said no, 12 times. They need to be here 12 we're open 16 nights a year. I had them 12 times, and that class went from 12, or I would say 10 to 12 cars to 30 legend cars by 2 years. And then you had them rolling into the track every week. And then, of course, other tracks were upset but they started doing it too up there. And now, I mean, you take the Dells, you take Jefferson, Slinger, they run the Legends and Bandoleros a lot. I mean, them kids are racing every single week.
It's great exposure for the sport, you know, and for these
Time
kids.
and seat for the kid.
You know, like especially at these bigger events where they throw a legend race on. You know, like let's hypothetically, I know it probably won't happen this year, but let's say one of the big leagues they throw a legend race on in the little track in the infield at DeSoto. You know, and we've seen how packed Big League gets. You know, how cool would it be to see those kids on the front stretch at Freedom Factory with packed stands, and how cool it would make them feel, and you know, just.
It too, you go right after your clubs, right? You know, like you got the Florida Gator or whatever that.
I don't that group Gator Motorsports, but you know, you would make it. Just try and get INX involved.
Yeah,
you know,
try to get them right involved and tell them, hey, you want to do this event. And I know there's national events. I tried to get one up north one time where you got to get it in the schedule. You got to talk to them in October to build it for the next year, and you bring them into them.
Arbondale is now INX points, so we're getting it down here for sure.
And it turns out a great product too. Like the driver I've been working with developing, Matthew LaFrade, man. He's been like when they first came to me like, hey, we want to test a truck over the summer, get him up to speed, blah blah blah. And first time right out of a Legends car into a truck, by the third round of practice, he was like a half a tenth off of me. And like I don't think we need to keep worrying about running laps by yourself. Like you're pretty well got this down. And we ended up winning a second start with him. And like I said, just straight out of Legends, we practiced on a Wednesday one time and went Friday. And on Saturday, he started 15th, finished third, came back the second race and won in a 20-truck field. Like, the kids, it's crazy how polished the ones that come up through that program and like, pay attention and have it. Like, it's their car control and the listening skills, like, coming straight up like a 12-year-old. It's crazy to key up the radio and tell them, hey, you know, you need to, you know, maybe open up your entry a little bit. And you're like, okay. Like, it's out there racing against people who've done it for 20 years. Wow. It's impressive the talent that comes out of that division. And I'm looking forward to getting him in a Sportsman here up soon as well.
That's what I was just thinking. The Sportsman classes, that's the next level to have all them kids going to that level.
I was about to say the same thing. I mean, at some point in time, Bryson's going to replace me, you know. And I do think Sportsmans are that, like, you know, I think Legends are very hard to drive. A lot of people don't know that. And I think going from that to a Sportsman is almost the perfect step for Florida kids coming up. Yeah. You know, because why go, you know, you see these kids go from a Legend to a pro, you know, and then fail because they just don't have the seat time in a full-size car. I think the Sportsman class could be that next stepping stone for these kids, you know. Like, Matthew's really good, and, you know, I've watched him run the pro truck, and, you know, did he get he tested the Sportsman? I don't think he's raced it yet.
Yeah, we tested it. We've got a few races scheduled for him. It's just the schedule hasn't worked out yet. Mm-hmm. Like at Freedom Factory, you have to be 14 to drive, or otherwise he would have already been in it there. And then there's a couple of Auburndales where the date lined up, and I think there's one. I think that summer race we had open for him to run if you end up getting it rescheduled. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm excited to see what he could do in that thing, because he hopped out of it and was like, oh, this thing's cool. I like this. Like, the grip and everything's. It's like, man, it feels like it's got way more motor than the truck. I'm like, no, you're feeling the smaller clutch, the amount of grip you can actually get the horsepower down.
Yeah, more chassis.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, like it's cool just watching him absorb all that.
Mm-hmm.
How many teams of the Sportsman? How many teams have multiple cars? Any multiple car teams?
Daniel.
Yeah, I was going to say Daniel. Like, I mean it'd be cool just to build that growth towards that car.
There's really not many. I think, you know, Daniel does it with Sozio, his car, and but even then, they're still separate cars.
I oversee 3 or 4 of them at a time.
That's what I was getting after.
I don't know if there's any. I can't picture off the top of my head multiple. Like, you know, Pierce oversees 1 to 5 at a time, depending on how many of his guys show up. Like, we have like little groups that teams all race together as a team. Yeah.
You know, you got, you know, Boyd,
if I ever get like a whole free month here, I want to build a second one.
Yeah.
I bet you do. Keep it in the shop.
Free time is so. I know. I spent 8 days working on my Super to get ready for this weekend that rained out already. So, Yay, free
Don't
time.
worry, I got rained out at Picola for Friday, and now I'm just waiting on sprint cars. So, no, I do think. Ricky, how many sportsmen started a race last year? Like one race, was it 50 something?
How many showed up?
Like throughout the whole year, we had like 50 different entries, didn't we, or something like that?
I think it was a little bit more than that. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were pushing 60 entries last year.
Yeah.
So they're there.
I'd have to go
It's
back
just
and
they're
look
there.
for
Yeah.
sure. The cars are there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it's crazy for a class that really only exists in Florida. It still has, it has the most support of any class in the state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
No, for sure. I mean, and we were talking about this a little earlier. It's like I would love to see our class be able to travel more.
Yeah.
You know, whether they give us weight breaks or whatever other places give us. You know, and I know we can be competitive at Cordele against the Outlaws and stuff like that. But for it to be a primarily Florida class, I mean, it's pretty big. You know, everybody talks about it.
The outlaw class, that's kind of a 604 big motor.
Yeah, Ricky could probably tell you more about that.
Yeah.
I want to say it's 604s and some built motors, right, Ricky? I'm not really sure. Even Daniel
Yeah,
knows more.
yeah. It's a little bit of everything, and it's that to me. That's where that class is struggling. It won't grow is because it's got so many motor combinations.
Yeah, it's a one-off. We have the
Yeah,
602
and it's
Outlaws.
also like,
Yeah, the 602 Outlaws.
It's basically a full-blown
Yeah.
late model chassis.
Yeah.
it's a pro car. There's no penalty for 4-piston calipers, spline sway bar, cambered snout, slide 5, blah blah blah. Like it's basically a pro car on 8-inch tires with no bumps.
Yeah.
Yes.
We can be competitive, but I think the reason our cars are competitive is because our class is so damn close that we work so hard that whenever we show up, I feel like we're just out preparing that class a little bit because they just don't have the level of
100% with that.
competition.
And I think
I feel like if we had those cars, we'd outrun them.
oh yeah. I also think, I wish they would change their rule package, go to the 602s, and
Yes.
I know a lot of people in our class, the only changes that I see a lot of people want, and I wouldn't be opposed to, and Daniel got to race it before. I didn't ever get to race this, the 2-inch spoiler setup, and what was the other deal they had? Well, you guys used to run on a treaded tire back in the day. I never got to do that with this class. I got to watch my dad do it, but other than that, I feel like we have the perfect rules package for close racing. Everybody's, we had one race at Freedom Factory, or at Arbondale, where everybody was within 5/10, and that's huge. So.
Ricky.
It's my favorite class. Like the bodies are so fun, the creativity you can put into them. Like,
I do like
and it's, I can build a sportsman body from scratch faster than I can hang a ABC body because the rules are so strict on the ABC bodies to get them to within, to have any aero advantage but still be within all the rules. Plus the $5,000 or $6,000 of material cost. Yeah, it's a fraction of the cost. It's a fraction, and it looks cooler.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And you can beat it back out too.
Yeah. Ricky, I'm pretty excited. I want to talk a little bit about that August race that you guys put together at South Alabama. So I've always
September
or September. Yeah, I said August.
20th.
September. Yeah, that.
I mean, we got a new event at Auburndale in August.
August 2nd.
Another memorial event, and that's going to be a great event in itself. But then the one we put together for September at South Alabama, that's going to be I think that's going to be a huge event as well.
Yeah, that one could be really big. I think so many people like going up there.
It's such a great
It's
track.
just
I would rather drive there than to New Smyrna any day of the week. I mean, I love
we're in
that
the same
track.
boat in this shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the same boat here. We're excited about that one. That was put together. You got a sponsor for that and everything, Ricky?
I'm working on that. I'm working on just about every event sponsorship wise. We got some sponsors just come on board today actually for the pure stocks at Freedom Factory, and I've got some already on board for that race in September, and we've got some bigly for more,
And you're back home down here, back in New Smyrna now, right?
Yes, we're back in New Smyrna, and hopefully we'll be moving into house on this weekend or Monday.
Congrats.
So we'll get our life back straightened out. Hopefully next week.
I think mine's going to take longer than a week. Well, we're looking forward to it. And Daniel, you got your cars all ready then, and you're as far as hitting all these races. I'm going to push the kids your way of the sportsman class.
It's a little bit of a juggling act to try to still have a driving career and to be a driver development coach / crew chief / car builder on at the same time. Like for instance, for Freedom Factory, they added a truck race at Auburndale on the same night. So now I'm having to orchestrate getting a crew chief and a spotter and everything lined up for Matthew that I trust to take care of those guys, since we are already planning on being at Freedom Factory. So it's a little bit to keep up with, but I got the Supras ready. The Pro needs about a day's worth of work. The truck, I got to change a clutch in it. I think it was starting to slip the last race, and it'll be ready to go again. It's all clean to maintenance and everything. Sozio's car tomorrow. I need to go through it and start getting it ready for Freedom Factory. Cog Hills will be here tomorrow. Just go through it. And I've got a 602 Tour mod I take care of here also. I've got a transmission being built for it. It broke leading the last race over there. And I got Jared Irvin's Super here. I just redid the body on it. And
what else are you going to do?
Yeah.
I need help in my X-ray business. You got some time?
Oh my God! I know it's a lot to deal with. Like I said, it would be smarter to not drive anymore, but I got it.
Yeah.
You get like one good run in, you get hooked for another whole season.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, we got to go to the break here, boys. We got to make sure our sponsors are covered.
There you go.
So I want to thank you guys for sure, but we're going to go to a break here, and we'll be right back.
Buying or selling a home? It's more than a transaction, it's a strategy. I'm Amy Lynn, and I bring clarity, confidence, and results to your real estate journey. Whether you're searching for the perfect place to call home or preparing to list your home for top dollar, I've got you covered. With smart marketing, strong negotiation, and a network you can trust, I don't just help clients close, I help them win. Let's make your next move the right one.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Short Track. We got my buddy Nate here next to me, and then we got Ricky on the phone, Daniel, and Dodge. We could create some.
We've got a lot of customers going on here.
Yeah. So right now, I guess we got a list a little bit on the Tech Talk that people called in, commented. This one here was a comment, I think, from our boss that race procedures. We are not NASCAR. I like how he said that. We talked about it all week, actually. Restarts. Ricky, I want to talk to you about the restarts. So doubling the cars back up versus single file versus cones. What's your thoughts on that?
The only reason I'm running the cones with the Sportsman is they asked for it, but if they keep doing what they're doing right now, I'm taking it away. I don't mind double file restarts.
Just straight
but
up,
if it
right?
gets to a point, but if it gets to a point where we can't get a lap in, then we're going single file.
Yeah. I know
The biggest thing is I want to do is take all judgment out of it, because everybody's got a different opinion. Everybody's got a different way of judging things. This all involved. Sorry about it, but it is what it is. But
yeah,
like Dodge hit on it earlier, the rolling starts. Since we went to a rolling start, we have quit tearing race cars up before turn one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's big down. Like up home by us in Wisconsin, up there, it's rolling starts. I mean, everywhere we race super, it doesn't matter, all of them. Anytime there's this drag race shit, get in the box, fire off, something's going to happen every single race. And I think the rolling starts, well, it's the reason. Look at how expensive transmissions are. Look at the trannies we got to buy just for the moment to miss the shift, right? And
I've had super races where they say, well, can you slow the pace down a little bit? Well, I know why you want me to slow the pace down. No, because you're wanting to get in that user gearbox, and I don't want you to use the gearbox.
Yeah, exactly. I think that we have a no shift rule in it. You know, then the joke up there is, how do they police that? Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we're speeding up. They're rolling in on turn 3. You know, rolling in on turn 3 by the center. They're hammered off the center of 4, just hammered coming down the front stretch, and they're side by side. And then they have this thing: you just don't pass each other until you get to start finish line. You know, and you're keeping that momentum going. And I we did it like that forever, for years, but then all of a sudden that changed because we're trying to be NASCAR. And I always say a little bit of, let's not lose what we are, because I always say taking steps back too, and some of it too, we were talking about, even the races, like a lot of these races you go to, like dashes and heat races, or we call them odd and even qualifiers. You know, not that, guys will just want to qualify and race, but I always feel bad for the guys that don't get the chance to run up front. And is that something that you've ever thought about doing?
Well, we tried that at the World Crown last year, and I thought it was a success with the heat races. We locked the front 2 in, and then everybody else run a heat race. The only thing I do different is I would award points and for like passing cars or something, so it entices people to race a little bit harder in the heat races.
Yeah. Well, we did.
I like heat races.
What we did is odd and even. We started. So up home, I had that Tundra Series that it's still going. They're still doing it, but the Tundra Series is, you qualify, you lock in the 16 through qualifying, but their starting positions are full inverts, right? So you had an odd and even, and then where they start is full invert, and then they race their way in the 15-lap qualifier to start their feature starting position. So if they start 12th and they get to 6th, they're starting 6th in the, you know what I mean? Like on the or I'll say 6th, whatever their position is in the inside row or the outside row. And that works. It does. And I think it's just the normal. I mean, you Daniel, Dodge, you guys know, you're racers. It's just, whatever it is, you're racers. You come out, whatever the decision is, that's how you race. But a lot of times you'll have.
I agree with Ricky. I thought the World Crown deal was great. In my opinion, I like the idea of qualifying then heat races and locking top 2 in, and like on dirt, that's all they do. And obviously it works. I mean, look at Lucas Oil, High Limit. I mean, that's all they do and it works. I wouldn't mind seeing more happen down here with that. Like even Sportsman's like, Well,
Grant said it perfect. Actually, Grant said this perfectly. When you go to a dirt race, you imagine not having a qualifier heat race, or how they get into the race.
It'd be super short.
It'd be over with, and no one would want to go.
Yeah.
Because some of that racing is just another event, especially for the fans.
Yeah, I don't mind it, and I like the idea of qualifying points. Ricky, I love. I like qualifying points.
A point per pass. So if you start in the back.
Oh, passing points don't get started on passing points. We're not the Chili Bowl.
Daniel, what's your thought on it?
I grew up in the days of, the 35 lap super show where you you started your heat race reverse of points order, and then we would race to get into like the top 4, and then the top 4 would redraw to start the feature. So that was a neat way of mixing up like the weekly show style of things. But yeah, like what better product in motorsports is there right now than Lucas Oil Cars? That's what last night, all of my friends and I were texting back and forth in a group chat watching the damn Lucas Oil show on Flow at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday or whatever, because it's more fun to watch than what we do, unfortunately, a lot of times.
100%.
It's exciting.
It's exciting, and they race their ass off. Every moment they're on the racetrack matters. And we spend,
And the grandstands is packed.
The grandstand is packed, and we're at the track for so long, sometimes you just build different crap to try, because like, well, it's got a 4-hour practice, let's run through this package, then this package, then this package, blah, blah, like, just to make use of all the time we get. Because if you don't, somebody else is going to do it.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, those guys, every lap they turn matters.
Yeah.
I would definitely I definitely wouldn't mind going to heat races more down here for premier classes, supers, sportsmen, trucks. I mean, the sprint cars already do it, but I wouldn't mind seeing it. And then, obviously you got to award points or something for it, to make it a little bit more enticing for the drivers.
I think that's the easy part, to figure that out. And, I look at it, how long, Ricky, have we been away from that, right? And then a lot of these new drivers, Daniel knows, I know, Ricky knows, we did this forever for years. And then, then people came in, and I always say, let's just say the front runners, the big teams, they come in, I'm not wasting my motor I'm already up front, that type stuff. Like, it's like, I don't believe in small invert. I believe in big inverts. Let them kids race again. Get them from the back racing, because they race, and you're going to tear stuff up, but after a while it'll be.
Big inverts are a touchy subject for sportsman drivers around these parts. I don't mind inverts.
I thought they were cool.
I don't mind inverts for sure. Like, obviously it sucks when you roll.
It still goes back to respect.
Respect.
Yes, 100%. For sure.
Yeah.
If the inverts don't tear race cars up, it's still the respect between the seat and the steering wheel and the brake pedal.
For sure.
So here's what we do. We make Band-Aid stickers that say UARA on them. And then every time you're in a wreck, you wear a Band-Aid. So if you got 10 Band-Aids, everybody knows to stay the hell away from that guy.
Yeah.
I got a pretty cool trophy that I'm hoping that I'm probably going to have ready for the Freedom Factory for the sportsman division.
So you're going to be like a Who Wrecked the Most Cars trophy, or I'm in.
That's what?
Who wrecks
a shit show trophy?
Who wrecks the most cars trophy? Who spins out the most?
That says he's sponsoring the trophy.
Yeah, I'm in. $100, Ricky. I got you.
Okay. All right.
All right. Write it down. $100 for
$100 for time. You might get the trophy.
I might get it. So No, I think I agree with Ricky. I like the inverts. I really do. I just think sportsmen's, man, we're so close. And with these like twin 50 deals. The invert obviously hurts, and you got people that sandbag, which I completely disagree with. I think if you're sandbagging, you're terrible. I hate it. I hate the sandbagging deal. But
there's the sandbagging deal.
How do they regulate that down here?
You got to give points for qualifying. It's the only way you'll be able to regulate it at the end of the day. I mean, you can tell people not to sandbag, but how do you really know when they did it?
Maybe do it like dirt, just pull a pill, and that's where you start your qualifying.
We have transponders. Like when I was a kid, the fast guys started in the back.
Yeah.
But during your heat race, if you went over your qualifying time, you're done. That's how you regulate it. If you go
that's
you're done.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember they did that. They did that at Showtime for a little bit. But a lot of people, you miss something in qualifying, and then you start in the back of a heat race, and you run a good lap in your heat race. It kind of hurts yourself. So I do think sandbagging. Yeah, sandbagging because you can't qualify. I think Daniel will attend to it. We've all stepped on our dick once or twice in qualifying, and at least once or twice. Me, like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, it doesn't always go to plan.
It's the one thing. There's always pressure for a driver.
Exactly.
That's just it.
But you can regulate sandbagging. There's definitely ways against it. When it's blatantly obvious. Or like I said, if you give, like, I know the sportsmen used to do points for it, and go back to that. Or I like the heat race idea personally. I think qualifying and doing, either top 6 to a dash after heat races, or winners of the heat races go to a dash, whatever. I don't care. I think heat races would be sick.
it just gets action back to the fans and for the teams. I mean, you got to still go
But you can't have Arbondale this past weekend where we're leaving at 2 a.m. You got to cut down the classes.
Yeah,
sure.
Heat races. And
I know Ricky, Ricky can agree with that. Like
after Auburndale, Rex said, if we do that same event over next year with the Jeff Warren Memorial and the Sportsman's, we're only going to have one not there. So
yes, and I agree 100%.
Every class was a shit show that night.
Oh my god!
And it was all long races.
Hey, they were throwing fists.
It was everywhere. It wasn't just there.
Yeah, they were throwing fights in mod mini class. Shout out to Fallon for doing it. That was awesome. I thought it was great.
What's that?
The mod mini fight, man. That was awesome. I mean, that's Rex didn't even ban them. I think that's amazing, personally. I mean, if you have issues, get out and do it in front of the fans rather than do it in the pits, I guess. But
I disagree. If the other driver got out of the car,
that's for sure.
I can promise you, if you hit somebody strapped in the race car in one of my series, you're done.
Yes, that's the only part I disagree with.
Because that is nothing but a pure coward.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I do agree, let him get out of the car. But I feel like, go back, as much as we all like to, give Yoho a bunch of crap, I remember he used to pay people, if you were going to fight, do it on the front stretch. And he would pay you to do it, So.
Yeah, I mean, look at Bowman Gray.
Yeah, Bowman Gray, look at that track. It's, the madhouse for a reason. But, no, I do agree, though, Ricky. Like, let him get out of his car first if you're going to do it. Don't hit somebody strapped in their car. At the end, it's not cool, not right. But
I definitely think on nights where I think on nights for the Sportsmans, when we're a little over on car count to the point where we're trying to teeter on a B main or not, the heat race deal go through the dirt track format to where
top 4.
2 laps qualify, 8-lap heat race or whatever, top 4 from each heat transfer, and then maybe run the A main with only 16 or 18 cars in it or whatever, and then the other guys run their 12-lap B main. And then you get more racing for the fans to see, but also hopefully each individual race runs smoother and faster and gets over quicker.
Yeah. I think if we followed the exact Lucas Oil lineup, like you said, qualifying heat races, and then top 2 from the B main lock in to the A main, I think that would be or whatever to get the 24 count, 20 count, whatever.
That would be, that would bring that to life.
I think it would be.
It would be. I agree with that.
And I never thought about it till Grant brought it up when I got here. I never thought about heat racing, but I definitely don't mind it. I do think you would tear up less cars at the end of the day.
Yeah. But it gives guys that other chance to get out there. Okay, now instead of racing the clock, and now I'm racing these other guys to see where I lie. And then you're working on your car too as the night goes on.
And then even with the B features, you give those guys that aren't up to speed that night a chance to go race with each other, and they're not in the way.
And honestly, you could take the last round of practice and make that count as qualifying. Just like, hey, everyone release your race tires before the final round, and this counts as your qualifying to line the heats up if you don't want to spend time in the program to do the 1 or 2 car qualifying, as another option to play around with.
That would be fun.
We have transponders. So.
I didn't mind session. Like we did one, I think we've only done it one time for the Sportsman division, was at South Alabama the first year we went. We did that last session was our qualifying session. And it benefited me. I was sitting second and was able to go back out one more time and then jump to first. So I've never minded doing a practice session as a qualifying session. It gives you, for those people that don't qualify so great, you can make an adjustment, go back out and run 2 more laps or whatever.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Push the lid out.
Yeah.
Go make one.
Shove the lid.
Yeah, I think there's an opportunity there to do something different because these cars are different. Like they do only exist in our little bubble down here.
Yeah.
We can be a little bit off the beaten path and experiment with stuff that's because asphalt's gotten kind of so predictable. Everywhere you go, it's you qualify, you run 100 laps, thanks, that's it.
And it becomes boring. That's why I said I feel like in dirt racing, it's like when the bull rider comes out for the bull, they got 8 seconds, they're on a bull, and then the clown comes out. It's the next entertainment, right? with the heat races, I feel like that, and I just like we were saying, Ricky, back in the day, we always had heat races and all that. Now, it kind of that went away, and then it got mellow, and it's just the norm. I always say, just everything had become the norm, and now doing something to shake up, especially with that sportsman class. I think that's one of the best things you guys got going in Florida here.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's why dirt does so good. Look at like the High Limit Series came on board last year, and they're doing everything different. Yeah, the procedures are pretty similar to Lucas Oil, but they've got a fan gets to come down and roll for one of the starting positions. If that guy wins, the fan gets $1,000,
like that,
whatever.
Build. There's
that's
little
like
things you could do.
That's where dirt's winning, is they're doing different stuff. And I think if
fan interaction.
Yeah, that too. And I think if we were to start doing different stuff down here, it would help for sure. And I know Ricky's always looking to do something different.
Yeah. That brings back an old memory. We used to do that at Auburndale back in the day, and we would have, whatever, if the top 8 redrew, we'd have 8 fans come down and draw for you. And one night, a little kid pulled the pole for me, and I won. And after the race was over, I threw my gloves to him over the fence. Yeah. And the moment like that would probably stick with that little fan for the next 10 years if you're growing up or whatever.
We had a sponsor. We had a bowling alley sponsor, like a big bowling alley sponsor, and they brought 10 bowling pins.
Oh,
and they brought the kids down during how the race was going to start, and they pulled the bowling pin. So if the driver was first qualifier, he pulled the bowling pin, and whatever was underneath the bowling pin, that's where that guy was starting. It was kind of neat. I mean, you could do a lot of stuff.
Ricky, I do think for the tune-up, you should let a fan do the dice roll with the driver this time. I think that would be pretty cool. Some sort of interaction with the fan, with the dice, since we have a dice.
Well, that's what we want to do, but sometimes we just don't have the opportunity to let that happen.
Yeah.
And that's what we got to. I mean, y'all know as well as anybody that I try to fine tune everything I can, but sometimes it's just not available the time. But we do have to take a breather, and it's like Daniel said, we got 4 hours of practice. I'm trying to trim up the big league schedule just a little bit so we're not there so early in the morning, because I like my sleep too,
Yeah. Some of that just wasting money and time too, because they're just especially in a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, let's face it, if we was running Hoosiers, we'd have to buy 4 or 5 sets of tires, but we're not. With American Racers, we buy 1 set of practice tires and we're good.
Yeah, amen to that.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we gotta cut around here. We're over time, but that's all good. I enjoy this. Daniel, thanks for coming on again. Dodge, Ricky.
Yes, sir.
This is the stuff. Open mic. We talk about this. We're getting a lot of traction lately with this little talk show we got. I want to keep it going. And like this, Ricky, your group here, we're 100% supportive of what you do. And I know your guys on here.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, we're like I said, there's a lot of talk that sometimes you don't know until you hear it, right? And just like this stuff here. Let's let NASCAR.
Well, and the sportsmen the sportsmen for sure, they know they can tell me ideas and I'll listen to them.
Yeah.
Because we changed the entire race procedures this year because of their feedback.
Yeah, for sure. And it all runs.
Oh, yeah, and that goes a long way, and that's why we support that division.
Well, guys, we'll have you back on for sure. I feel like I'm building friends off this thing too. That's the biggest thing. But until next time, episode 13. I'm heading up north. I got to go do them races that we got to go do in New Hampshire and all that. But Nate, that was a good.
It's been fun.
We're over.
I think Nate got like 3 sentences.
We're over a limit. Yeah. We'll bring Ricky. Ricky might have to be a weekly.
Yeah.
He might be sitting here with us. We'll just have a mannequin sitting here, but we'll have him talking.
His series can sponsor the show.
An AI.
Yeah. Sponsored Ricky's Roundup.
And you guys are the ones got rounded up.
Yeah.
Well, hey, until next time, this is Let's Talk Short Track. My gentleman here, thank you again. And till next time, episode 13. Thank you.
Buying or selling a home? It's more than a transaction. It's a strategy. I'm Amy Lynn, and I bring clarity, confidence, and results to your real estate journey. Whether you're searching for the perfect place to call home or preparing to list your home for top dollar, I've got you covered. With smart marketing, strong negotiation, and a network you can trust, I don't just help clients close, I help them win. Let's make your next move the right one.
you.